Well, hello everyone. My name is Fred. I wanted to make a video to kind of talk about sunscreens and sun shields. I know we've had some posts on several Facebook groups that I'm in discussing this and showing projects that people are working on. And I just wanted to explain some of the things we're trying to accomplish with these sunscreens and sun shields to allow us to see the screen better. Let me give you a little bit of history. I'm a retired radiologist, and that means I spent 30 years looking at x-rays, CT, MRI scans, etc., medical imaging on computer screens. And in that profession, it's very important that we don't have reflections in the room or specular light or spurious light sources making the images difficult to see and limiting what we can see. And I know a lot of you have careers where you depend on seeing computer screens very, very clearly. And so this may help you a little bit in that regard as well. What we've learned in radiology is that the high resolution screens we see can be affected by two different primary light sources. One is ancillary light that is in the room that's used to light surroundings. And so that's most of the time why we read in the dark. Our rooms have very little light going on. But we also found that a lot of the additional light that causes us every bit as much of a problem, and possibly even more of a problem, is reflected light from the screen that also limits our ability to see the fine detail on the screen. And the same thing is happening with the screens that we use for imaging our quadcopters and our telemetry and so forth. We rely on our ability to see that screen in bright sunlight under very, very difficult conditions. So I want to cover some of the things that make a sunscreen or sun shield better and more effective in getting rid of those other sources of light that produce us problems. Obviously, we can use our phone or tablet to give us the best image that we can based on the brightness of the screen, but when we have the brightness turned up all the way, then there's not too much else we can do other than try to shield the screen from other light sources. Now, the typical sunscreen that's used basically has vertical sides that come up a certain distance and block light from the sun or other bright objects in the field like snow and so forth from hitting the screen. That can significantly affect your ability to see fine detail on the screen. Those sun shields generally have vertical sides that are perpendicular to the screen face, and we look straight on at the screen. The problem with that is it removes pretty effectively the non-reflective light, the glare or specular echoes or specular light that can hit the screen and come back in our face and make it difficult to see the screen, but it doesn't address the reflected light, especially when we're viewing the screen direct on at right angles to the screen. Now, one way we have of limiting that or preventing that is by actually angling the screen slightly to an area where we have no light source. So if we take a normal sunscreen with vertical sides and we look straight down on the image, we get the reflection of ourself in that image. And when we're in bright sunlight, that can be very, very strong and can limit our ability to see the screen. And what I'm discussing is having a screen that is not being viewed perpendicular, but is being viewed at about a 15 to 20 degree angle. And that angle allows the only reflections that can hit us in the face or in our eyes is coming from the black part or black paint or felt on the inside of the sunscreen. And that's what I've done with these sunscreens. And you can see here, I have two of them that are situated in the holder in a way so that they are mounted in a way that you can look at it perpendicularly, but you can see the side of the screen is angled so steeply that it covers about 80% of the screen from direct light. And my only way to see the entire screen is if I look at it at about 15 to 20 degrees angle. And that allows me to see no reflections except for the black part of the inside of the sunscreen. And that eliminates all reflected light from hitting me in the eyes, except the light coming from the black surface inside, which basically, since it's black, you get almost no reflection. I've made some little cartoons that kind of explain this. And in these cartoons, you will see that the lack of a sunscreen at all allows the sunlight and any other strong light sources to hit the screen, as well as any reflected light from the light that's shining on you, which the sun is also shining on you. That reflects right back in your face. And the image that I've depicted at the bottom of that slide, or that little cartoon on the right-hand side, shows that that image is a combination of the image plus the non-reflected light and the reflected light. And you can see how difficult that is to see. The second cartoon that I drew shows a conventional sunscreen with vertical sides that are perpendicular to the face of the screen, and it eliminates the indirect sunlight, or the sunlight and the other strong light sources, but it does not eliminate the reflected image that you see of yourself in the background sky. The third slide shows the screen is angled 15 to 20 degrees so that you're forced to look at it at a slight angle. That angle produces very little distortion that's bothersome, but it removes a great deal of the reflected light. And the image that you see on the bottom of that little cartoon shows that the image is very clear and sharp and doesn't have any additional reflected image that comes back into your eyes. The commercial sunscreens are made in a way so that the sides are parallel, and if that's all that you can get and purchase, then you can accomplish the same thing by putting a buttress under the near side of the screen that tips it up, and that forces you to move the entire sunscreen forward, and this portion of the sunscreen now will cover the reflection that comes off from the screen that would otherwise hit you right back in the face, is now coming from this upper surface of that sun shield or sunscreen. The other way you can accomplish this, as I have, is you can build your own. And I've built mine out of a 1/4-inch foam board and kind of modeled it with cut lines and bending the surfaces of the cardboard, taping it with a little bit of masking tape or duct tape, and then I painted it. And it's very durable. I've had this one since I got my Evo, and I've actually had similar ones that I've used for my Solo. Been using this type of sunscreen for, probably 4 years, 5 years. And as long as you're careful with them, they don't disintegrate or fall apart, and they last real well. This one I actually made for a little bit smaller phone, and this one I 3D printed on my printer. But you can see how this angles over the screen as well, so that you have to look at the screen from an angle. And that accomplishes the same thing. The inside is covered with a little bit of felt. So you can build these out of the same cardboard containers that you might use otherwise, and I've seen some people build their sunscreens that way. But remember that if you keep that angle so that you have to view the screen at about a 15 to 20 degree angle, that allows you to put that sun shield over that portion of the screen, so the only reflection you can see is the inside of the sunscreen. If you have any additional questions, please leave them in the comments below, and I'll try to answer that. Good luck and good flying.